Jesse here. I wanted to do a video on the aquaponics system. As you can see, it is growing like crazy down here in the Houston area. It's April, but we've already got temps in the 80s. It's hit almost 90 on one day. So all these plants in the back, I'm basically using them for seed. You can see that some of these lettuces are they're flowering, and so pretty soon I'll have more seeds than I know what to do with. I think this is like kind of a Swiss chard. Here's a kale. I don't know if you can tell, but everything's very yellow, so it's not very, it needs more nutrients than what it has. I've also got sweet potatoes that I planted in here. Once it warms up, they started producing their slips. So you can see on this guy, it starts to put out those little plants, and those little plants eventually will turn into big vines that you probably have seen on sweet potato. And in order to root these, you will just gently twist or break off the slip. And you can see the little nodules kind of at the bottom. Those are wanting to root out. And I will just stick these in the bin, and it'll start getting moisture, and these will root super easily. So one sweet potato, like we already have 1, 2, 3, 4. I could take this one off too. One sweet potato can produce enough cuttings and slips for your entire garden. Some of them will get moldy for some reason, they won't last, but typically I haven't had any issues propagating as much as I wanted. I have other stuff in the garden still. You might see the sweet potatoes kind of wilt if it's hot out. Typically they'll come back and they'll root no problem. So just giving an overview of everything. This is still working really well. Basically this entire setup is on a timer, which will turn on the pump. It'll pump water up here in the top. It'll hit this, there's a stand-up pipe in here. Once it hits that level, this siphon, this bell siphon, has holes in the bottom, so it'll create a vacuum and it'll start the process of sucking the water all the way down to where those holes are in the bottom. And the timer turns off, and then it stops the process, and in about 5-6 minutes or so, the pump will turn back on and it'll flood the system and then drain all the way to the bottom. So it's worked out really well. Typically I do it this way the plants need some oxygen in there. It's also really good to propagate plants in. As you notice, I started doing some cuttings of just some shrubs in the landscaping. I can't remember, these are typical like decorative type shrubs. I think this is yew back here. So just kind of testing out to see if I put these in here, do I have the frequency right? Some plants can root really well, some don't. We have a pothos plant that has been in here since the winter time. Here's another one. Feels like it has roots in it. Pothos roots really well. Here's another one. I need to start some cucumbers in these pots, and I think I might raise this system. So just putting some lava rock, and then I'll put these trays up a bit more. I can increase how much water is flowing into this and draining every time. But then I would need to kind of block out the rocks getting into this pipe, or blocking those little holes in the bottom. I think I thought there was a spider hiding in one of these. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's a pretty good looking guy. Don't know if you can see him on the back end. There we go. There's probably a lot of aphids in here. So yeah, things are growing well. It could probably use a little bit more fertilizer or fish in the system, but there's a lot of plants in here, and primarily I'd use it for propagating plants anyways, making sweet potato slips. Here's some garlic that was producing some growth, so I just stuck it in here yesterday, and it'll probably root out and grow, no problem. So I like these systems. They're pretty fun to work with, pretty simple. The timer and the bell siphon have made it basically, there's no maintenance to it. You know, you clean it out every once in a while, but I don't have to worry that the siphon failed on an aquaponics system that's running all the time. You have to get the flow correct for these to work all the time. So if the pump fluctuates at all, it could keep the um, the container at a certain water level. It could be too high, and it doesn't kick off the siphon to drain to the bottom, or it's not running fast enough, or it's too fast and then it drains all the way to the bottom and stays at the bottom. So this way I have the water rising and falling on a frequency. It's controlled by the timer. Assuming the timer or the pump doesn't fail, it's just going to work. This has been running continuously for probably almost a year now this way. I have the container outside. It's Houston, it's hot, but it's been working no problem. You might see some fish in there. There's at least one catfish in there, and then just some local caught fish, some bluegills and things like that. I need to catch some tilapia. Sometimes they run up here in the summertime, just in the local waterways, because I think they eat all this algae. I have this up here that I'll probably start propagating plants with. I have some elderberry that's growing, some thornless blackberry. So sometimes they like to grow just straight in the water, or I can do it through this way. So with that, thanks for watching, and I'll put out some more videos another time.